Very good morning, my dear EHS friends. Today's session, the seventh in the EHS State of the Nation, India, which is in response to the survey I had sent out about a month back, and people had been very generous with the response. There have been many topics that have been asked, and this session today, Friday, 24th March, covers vehicle safety. It's a topic that has been very dear to me personally. We did a lot of work of turnaround from, uh, you know, fatalities on road incidents. So, what I'm going to do in this session is uh, fleet safety in a broader sense, covering personal vehicles which folks drive for business, as well as cover a bit on transportation safety in terms of handling hazardous material, dangerous goods, so that a overview is given, and you will be able to get a sense of what is it all about. Um, I think it'll last about 45 minutes, and I'm again thankful to folks for having responded. I am getting a lot of positive, encouraging feedback, and I would request people to give me topics you want me to cover, so that way it can be, I can serve your need, and based on, then it'll be more a pull system rather than me pushing it down your, inbox. So feel free to comment at my blog or at my YouTube video site. You can also subscribe to my blog so that you can get it as a inbox in your email, so that I don't have to send it. You can, as and when I upload, you will be able to get it. So I'm once again thankful. The session will follow. Thank you for your time. Have a great day, and God bless.
What are you afraid of missing today? A 2-second glance doubles the risk of crashing. So what are you really missing?
Hi Jeff, the restaurant's booked.
A 2-second glance means you miss what really matters. Everything else can wait.
My dear friends, as I had indicated in the introductory video, this session will cover the basics of vehicle safety, that is passenger safety, employees driving for business, as well as a bit on transportation of hazmat safety. So I'm going to share what was the best practices and how we did what we did over the next 45 minutes. I'll try to spend as much time, but of course the slides will always be available. You can go through it and understand in an elaborate sense. Right, so many companies have embraced vehicle safety, especially organizations who who depend on cars and trucks for business. And uh, you can see here, transportation is one of the biggest risks. It kills people, losses, property damage, so many things, and moral is also can be low if incidents happen. And so it also helps, any accidents, if you lose material, it's a, resource conservation is gone, and it has its own environmental impacts and business impacts, more so these days when everything is very sensitive. And it also helps if you have a good vehicle safety programs. It helps liability reduced, more so, premiums, and also you being taken to court for negligence and tort. So it's very good to have a very good vehicle safety program, both for materials as well as for human beings. So what great organization do? I mean, the background is we had a couple of fatalities about 15, 20 years back, and what the great organization do is they learn from others. They are never hesitant to go and ask somebody for help. Asking for help is your strength, not your weakness. Many people misinterpret that. If I ask something, then they think that I am weak. No, it's strong. So when we had our issues, we went to the world-class leaders in vehicle safety, like the UPS, United Parcel Services, who drive millions of vehicles, across the world, delivering materials. Learn from them the freight transport, and also from companies like British Petroleum, Johnson and Johnson, who do business on wheels. So it's you want to learn, go to their best, listen, and then try to customize. So this is the exact way the model top companies do. The leadership is very essential. I mean, again and again, you see all my presentation. This is my 7th presentation. I would have spent enough on leadership. You may think that I'm beating the horse to death. Without leadership, nothing works. Transparency, willingness to learn, learning organization, openness, so engagement. So that is where it's critical, and they walk the talk. There's no point in leader talking about vehicle safety and he doesn't wear the seat belt in his car. So it's walk the talk. We will see it in the future slides how the success works. Team champions and coordinators, I mean, very essential, that it cannot be driven by one man. So it needs team, and it needs commitment and engagement, and you will see metrics. You will see in the slides how metrics, what gets measured, gets done, and assessments continuously be on. It's like, vehicle safety, we consider it's like on the treadmill. You can't stop. I mean, you are on the treadmill. If you stop, you're going to fall down. So you need to work around that. And training, coaching, and feedback. Work the training, whatever is needed for people. Coach them, do them and do it to them and show them. And then establish the procedures and guidelines and policies. And policies, I mean, is, you'll see it's non-negotiable. I mean, policies are sacrosanct. Policies cannot be violated. You violate policy, you don't work for the organization. That's the kind of, we call it the cardinal rules, where you violate, you don't work for us. Very simple. So we want people who will know what it is expected of them, and they follow it thoroughly. So that leads to continuous improvements and work and recognition and rewards and communication. Celebrate success. So the vehicle safety works through both in fleet as well as in the heavy hazardous materials. You take inputs, you work through the team and deliver outputs. That's what great organizations always try to work the metrics. Anything and everything they work around metrics. So the inputs are there in the left, and the team is a kind of a churning. I mean, it's not, as I said, one guy. So the safety leads exist, people from safety, HR, people from business. They are the driving safety champions who are from the business. So if you have 7 businesses, everybody will participate, and they need to contribute to that. So so the vehicle safety lead will lead it. He may be even a business person. So the HSE will give the safety inputs, and drivers also participate, so that like a safety committee, how the workers need to participate, and regional people, state peoples. So the whole spectrum of business is established, geography wise, region wise, function wise, business wise, so that the inputs go, and the vehicle safety team is championed by CXOs and CEOs. I mean, it won't work, nothing below will work. The CEOs and CXOs need to give the time. And then these are the metrics that work, which I will elaborate in the future slides. And we always believe that team is together, everyone achieves more. So and it is all through commitment and engagement. So what are the key elements that drive such programs in organizations, the BPs, the Johnson and Johnsons, and other companies? I mean, so there is a great policies and non-negotiable. These are all non-negotiable and tracked and monitored and measured and improved and reported and worked for improvements continuously day in and day out. So that's how these kind of things happen. And country specific, region specific programs work arising out of global charters, so that you need to customize. For example, a classic case here is in nighttime intercity restriction. So in countries, in most countries like India, Pakistan, we restrict people to drive between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. So 11 p.m. to 23 hours to 5 hours, so that the roads are not safe for business travel. So we restrict, so that those kind of policies are put in place. And we also work on drivers are classified as low, medium, at risk, and you will see. So these kind of metrics are all tracked and reported and very completely implemented with thorough discipline, like a religion. So that's what, as I said, what gets metrics. Great companies always do the metrics, and what is the metrics is measurements, and what gets measured gets done, and then you know where you are in terms of, as we usually go by the stoplight metric, like red, yellow, and green, and then work towards it. So, and then like what we always feel is one fatality on the road is one too many. I mean, life wasted, not acceptable. This is to quote from Norman Schwarzkopf, the 1991 Gulf War Operation Desert Storm. When Norman Schwarzkopf was asked post the victory, he asked what is his success, and he said, I wouldn't call this a success because 43 American soldiers died with 3,000 or so of Iraqis. So he said 43 is 43 too many, and I think I have failed as a commander. So I'm sorry. So that's where when people work for us and people come here to work safely and go back, they drive the vehicles and get business and go back. So nobody can die in the wheels working for us, on business. So what are the metrics that we track? Mileage is covered in kilometers. People need to report monthly. People need to report accidents, incidents, near misses as they occur. So, we even classified, what are incidents, accidents. You will see. I mean, you may wonder how there can be so many classifications. You will see that. Moving violations. Behind the wheel training, we coach people. That's what you have seen in the policy, and update the database. And what we call is boss drive and friendly drive. A boss drive is your supervisor has to sit with you and judge you how you drive at least once. And friendly drive is your peers, anybody who is good in driving can judge you how good you are, and these reports need to be submitted and updated in database. Company-wide metrics, that's where we report the company-wide global in terms of million kilometers and are updated annually, so that you will know what is it. Again, metrics. So now you can even compare yourself with companies, how they do, in your areas, in your business, in your country, and then can improve if there is a scope for improvement. People trained, very essential. Trainings are very essential. So percentage of people trained and arising out of the total population, and also the lagging metric like number of at-risk drivers. So it should be ideally 0, but there will always be some people. So this is what when you do incidents and accidents, and when these are all the potential incidents and accidents that can happen when you drive on the road. So this is where behavior based driving is very essential, and you work around this, so it could be your fault. Idea is, except you, everybody else on the road is an idiot. So they are out to come and hit you, and so what can you do? How can you escape? So that's how this behavior based training happens. And especially in countries like India, Pakistan, China, where It's madness. So you need to be really safe, and because the norms are same. Once your vehicle touches another metal contact, your corporate is going to say as an accident. You can't say that there are 1 million vehicles in a road versus 100 in, say, some other country. So you are measured same, then only the comparisons can happen. And so that's where you need to be, what do you call, save yourselves, and that can come through behavior based training, so on how you do it at the wheels. So what are the elements? How great organizations do vehicle safety and succeed, and companies are now close to 10 years, 12 years without even any person dying on the road. Especially, in a country like India, 12 years the vehicles must have increased 200 times, but still, the guys who drive can really make it happen without sacrificing their lives and dying on the road working. So it's all, as I said, the leadership engagement. I mean, without leadership nothing works. I mean, you can do anything you want, but if your leader is not committed, believe me, that's where great organizations choose great leaders, and they then drive it passionately. I mean, I know of CEOs and CXOs traveled across the countries in Asia, and meet each and every employee as in the training programs, and their families, so that guy dies on the road, family is affected. So we really wanted the families to get even engaged, so that they also know and can contribute their bit, uh, right? So that's what practical policies, so that we didn't, you can't say cell phone is banned. No, everybody will violate. More so in the social status, where when wife, if she calls 3 times and husband doesn't answer, she may not be at home when husband comes back or the partner comes back. So it's, you can't be writing a policy cell phone is banned. It's meaningless and madness. So then we work on hands free, give it, and then tell them that you are driving and you will call back, so that even that through hands free. Drinking and driving severely reprimanded, zero tolerance, that's what cardinal rules we call it. uh, Non-routine maintenance of vehicles linked to defense, driving safety champions have to endorse the expense reports. So then if some expense comes, and if it is unplanned or non-routine, you need to explain why, and if it then incidents and accidents are captured. I mean, so that's where you need to be ahead of the curve. And behind the wheel training through international agencies, many are now available in India, so people can be trained for behavior based driving, and work around that. And say driving low risk is a condition of employment, so you are given 6 months to improve your skills and rate yourself to a low level risk driver or safe driver. As I said, commentary, what you call as a boss drive and friendly drive. We will supervisor will do, that's a boss drive, and you need to really make 3 assessments. All 3 can be boss drive. Your boss can various bosses, bosses boss. When they come with you, you can judge it, or you too can be a friendly drive. So people, your peers or others can judge you, but at least one should be a boss drive. As I said, no intercity travel between 23 hours and 5 hours. Fleet management decides the quality of vehicles, very critical aspect, so that we don't buy some vehicles which itself put people in danger. So classic example is sumo. Some companies have a policy not to at that stage. Now I think that the design is improved, and so that's where you need to really know the vehicles and get the safety aspects and then buy it. So or power steering, those kind of things. Now it's all commonplace, but we are talking about 20 years back, when Pakistan was miles ahead in standard vehicles than India. So vehicle safety inspections, we will they inspect. Checklist is sent monthly, and then even family involves it, so that when the guy starts from home, they also contribute to the checking of the vehicles. So what are the safe driving strategies? How it is done, that's the how part, the nuts and bolts. Right? maintain energy levels. If fatigue can be a killer, so plan your journeys, rest, sleep well, and then start. Many times what happens, we see drivers, working 20 hours and then coming and then taking you to airports. So those kind of things are big no and watch out intercity travels. If you are driving, also rest well. Safe vehicles, inspections, as I said before, emergency supplies, seat belts, defensive drivings, focus on driving, don't have distractions. I posted a video in the beginning of this presentation which you would have seen. Works around that. Be alert, be awake. When you are fatigued, just stop the vehicle and take a rest. 10 minutes can really enrich you. And no alcohol and drugs, that's what so we call it start up, secure, turn off, allow, read, fuel and levels, and then be ready. Sometimes when you plan well, believe me, many things go to plan. 90% of the things, if you think what can go wrong, what is the strategy, what is the threats, you work around it, mostly things will go smooth. Things is many times you expect the unexpected and plan, and many times the unexpected don't happen. That's the reality. So when you start, what are the things you need to look for? I call it the pilot's walkthrough. If you have seen, whatever may be the checks, the pilot on his own takes the torchlight, and most of my flights were during night time. He will go around quickly, take a walk through and make sure. I mean, not that he will know these big things, but then he's smart enough to do that. So that's where look for all these things in your car before vehicle you start. Especially pet sleeping under. I mean, this is a classic case where we know a couple of cases where dog was sleeping and a guy ran over the dog when he started the vehicle. So truth is stranger than fiction. That's what it is. And weather, know the weather. Suddenly things can change, and so these are all elementary, as I say. But how many we change? How many things we check. And the photo here is I just put it as a pilot because this is the world's first father and daughter piloting the flight. So world has moved miles ahead. Was 2 years back in England. So so father was the pilot and daughter was the first officer. So it's so somebody would have gone around and checked the pre-inspection, the flight pilot's walkthrough, we call it. Right? So what are the emergency aids you need to keep? Straightforward: food, water, plan it. These are all the small things. You are stuck in traffic, or you are stuck in a remote place, a puncture. So work around that. Spare tire, torch, just keeping it, fire extinguishers, emergency things. So it doesn't take much. It takes 10 minutes to plan and keep, and it's going to live forever. These are all non-perishable items. Energy bar can come for 6 months. So so even water. So just keep everything and put it in the back side. So then it lies, and then it comes handy when you need it. So how many of things we take care. So a good plan can always help and come handy to rescue. Chargers, cell phones, seat belts. I mean, I am still surprised. 2017, 50% of vehicles still in India, the back seat belts don't work. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, so, and drivers say, when I call, no sir, nobody uses. So, and I mean, a classic case of guy dying, VIP dying, without using seatbelt was Gopinath Munde. I met him many times, and very nice gentleman, during my Aurangabad visits, and thorough human being, but didn't use seat belt and died. Same is with guys like Rajesh Pilot. So politicians sometimes they think that they are above normal laws. So it's unfortunately not. So that's why I'm very happy that Trump is using the railings to come down from Air Force One. So I think he's the first global leader I see coming by the side and holding the railings. I don't see anybody else do it, and I don't know when the leader is going to trip and fall flat on his face. So it's nice things. At least he's safe guy. So what the seat belts, all four guys should use. And people will say a lame excuse. I mean, I have heard it. I look like a dacoit with a country gun is a lame excuse. In rural areas, the Bihars and Jharkhands, so the people may say my seatbelt look like a country gun, so I can be killed by police. So I mean that's all not acceptable. I mean, come on, give me a break. So that's what it is. So buckle up. Moment you sit, you should buckle up, and that saves lives. And seat belts are for everyone. Right? Reckless driving, very common. Road rage. I don't want to read it, but scan. Defensive driving is all about scanning, anticipating the hazards. Follow the 2 seconds rule. Keep the distance behind. Your car should be 2 seconds behind the car ahead. So good way to say 2 seconds is 1003, 1004. When you say it, if you reach the position in which the car was there as you started, you are too close. So you need to back up further. Know the braking distance, very critical. And so you need to, and then nights the braking distance reduces because you can't see. So you need to work around that. Excessive speedings, work the legal norms. Don't tailgate. Following no signals, nervousness, running red light, very risk. Somebody runs the red light, and if you think the green has come, you will crash. Many times it happens. Escape route, work the escape route in case if the car ahead of you stops suddenly, how will you escape? Or so those kind of things. Those are the behavioral techniques. Congestions, no road rage. It's getting more and more in even here. So and report incidents as required. So that's what I close this. I want to give a quick overview. I mean, it's as I said, you would have known many things, but are you doing it? Again, the knowing doing gap I keep saying. So work around these and make people safe so that nobody, it's tragedy to die on the roads. I mean we don't want it. Even your personal side, I mean, vehicles are meant to drive safely and go. So you need to anticipate, and heaven forbid you die, and then nobody helps you. More so these days where you have an accident, nobody is there to help you. So it's you need to be really work around this, and so these are the things that can help. So coming to transportation safety, this is also my favorite topics. We handle so many hazardous substances, the pesticides and the nitrocellulose, and so we need to really work around this. And even as a responsible organizations, we even take ownership from receiving it. So it's many companies do it that only I receive, then my responsibility starts. No, we take ownership right from the supplier is going to supply, so that it's our material. And from a business point and non-interruption, we need to work. So that's where drive towards zero. So heavy vehicles. So what are the heavy vehicles? The vehicles that transport, we call it. So these are some of the examples as you see, which transport materials. And even heavy cars, buses, the more than 16 people is heavy vehicles. And hazardous material guidelines. Any carrier. Here the motor vehicles rules. So what are the policies? Same like car, but more stringent requirements. Undergo the testing. I mean, I believe nozzle used to do. I don't know if they do it still. I don't even know nozzle exists now. I mean, I'm talking about 90s. So National Organic Chemical Industries Limited. So there are good programs, hazmat training, and those drivers take ownership and responsibilities. And annual safety inspections of vehicles, and proper safety equipments. Emergency aids must be there. Each hazardous material transport should have its own emergency aids like a car, and so the driver would work around that. And these more little strict, if a driver works even, so if you had 3 incidents in 3 years or 2 accidents in 6 years, he's disqualified. So that's how, because you are handling hazardous materials, you don't want to risk, so the bar is very low, and in the sense that, so people can trip, so that's where it's make sure that compliance is fully in place and no risk is there. So trainings, very, so when you handle hazardous materials, people need to be qualified, and this is where you need to put those efforts. I mean, you will see in the subsequent slides how those kind of training is given to those drivers, and work around those aspects, basic skills as well as competent skills, and these trainings are to be done annually, so that when you handle the hazardous chemicals, you don't want any chance. So that's where these kind of things work, and at-risk drivers are disqualified and terminated. I mean, when you handle such hazardous materials, you need to be really ruthless in enforcement. That's where, I mean, so hazardous materials are work as per the US DOT, Department of Transportations. They work the norms, and they are the materials which can pose a risk to health, safety, property, and environment. And you would see that, I mean, naturally anything we use is hazardous in some way or the other. So that's where PHMSA is, they are the hazardous material, what do you call, the agency, like OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, is for plants, and these guys cover the roads, and they have the strategy how to work around that. So it's just about a 5-year strategy how they want to work around that. So the classification of materials, Pipeline and Hazardous Material Safety Administration, OSHA, PEMSHA. So that's where it is, these classifications, and you work around where you fit, and then the risk is addressed. Right, so you can't live without hazardous materials. As I said in my process safety management video, presentation, many times the cyanides are used for a life-saving drug, and ordinary harmless chemicals turn into the narcotics and those kind of dopes. So that's where about 100,000 chemicals and products are to be made, and hazardous chemicals are bound to go, and it's going to increase more and more. I mean, now today, nanotechnology, radiations, it's no end to it. You don't even know where it's all going to end. Right? So raw materials, you manufacture, you pack, you use, and you dispose. So transportation is going to happen. Like it or lump it, you need to have good programs in place for transportation of hazardous materials. Right? So mainly various ways of shipping. I use the word generic shipping. So water, air, road, and rail. So you need to work around that, and make sure that the product reaches your customer safely, or received from your supplier safely. So this is what it is. So goes to customer, and as I explained in the previous slide, various ways of transportation, various types of packings, each has its unique requirements, and you work around that and make sure that norms are in place. So what are the considerations when you do it? Efficiency, reliability, safety, security, and environment protection. So you need to really know the what are all the aspects that are involved, and on schedules, reliability, safety. That's where again, as I say, the essence of business is quality, safety, productivity, inventory, delivery, and cost. So delivery is about reliability, safety, security is so that no thefts happen, pilferage happens, many times that can happen, and environment protection. I mean, if you handle very, very hazardous materials. So how the mode of transportation is selected. So these are all the various types, the labelings that happen. So travel time, how is the reliability, security, shipment size, higher, bulk means shipping. So container characteristics, equipment availability, local restrictions. That's where, sometimes the bridge tunnels, many times you see vehicles getting stuck under the bridge. So, you need to work around that and make sure that um, risks are assessed. So when you transport hazardous material, what are the norms to be seen? Selections, route, right? We call it the, I'll a little bit explain. We call it the journey risk management. So if you're going to ship from place A to place B, we do a what do you call a recce, and see what are all the issues that are possible, and how do you work around that. What are all the ways, what kind of infrastructure need to be provided, or permissions need to be taken, or any diversions need to be done, so that the material reaches safely. I mean, if you are handling, say, explosives, or if you are handling substances that are fish toxic and all, so you need to really work these aspects and make sure that the journey route is fixed. And nowadays with GPS and even fixing the petrol stations where which the fuel will be filled, you can track it and make sure, keep in constant touch. So the petro cards or those kind of things are given to drivers, and you can track this the material and the vehicle, right? Regulatory environments, legal requirements need to be fully complied. Packing norms, safety considerations, risk, then the hazards, what to do in terms of emergency. So everything needs to be worked around of, and various agencies will be involved. So it will be with the health, it will be with safety, it will be with road, in a case of road shipment, and various agencies inputs need to be worked. And you need to be also very sure is regulations need to be updated, and you need to follow it. So that's where, what you worked in 2012 may not be applicable anymore if the laws have changed. So need to work around that. And also in some of the countries the penalties are harsh. I mean, I would say one of the areas where you can go out of business is in transportation safety. If you handle hazardous material and you don't comply with the laws, the penalties are very heavy and can put you out of business. Risk management, that's what can go wrong. I mean, again, you see risk, everything is tied to risk, probability into severity and consequences, and what can you do around it. So that's where the journey risk management will help. I put a classic case which I could see it in the internet. One of the companies have done it, and so this is what they do. So going from place A to place B, they classify into various zones: urban zone, rural zone, coastal zone, hilly zone, populated zone, whatever. So, and then you accordingly you take actions for, so that these kind of aspects are covered and materials are transported safely, and so there are no issues. So again, you need to, that's your responsibility, and it also helps to prevent the liability, right? That's where, so even at the best risk management you cannot prevent incidents, so you need to have a very good emergency plans. That's where you will work around. These are all the things that can happen. So you need to be really sure when those incidents happen, how will you handle it, what is the impact to human health and environment, and how will you handle it and make sure, right? So in these kind of hazardous materials, you need to have a 24/7/365 support. Good companies do it, and there are agencies who can do that, so that you handle hazardous substances. They are available, a phone call center or a web-based access. You need to be available, and trump card should give all those details. Transport emergency card, and every vehicle should carrying hazardous materials, be it product or raw materials, need to give and work around it. I mean, I remember we had a major incident in 1994, and the driver was late in communicating to us by about 3 hours, and our VP just blew the top. So that's what it is. I mean, 3 hours is 180 minutes late. So that's what, it was night and June, it's pouring, it pours in North India. So but then that's how leaders are. I mean, they can't take zero tolerance. So you need to really have those kind of emergency response systems, programs, route management. What do you call? How will you handle emergencies? Driver being trained, and all the aids should be available within your vehicle. I agree. Sometimes the vehicle itself would have fallen. Then what do you do? So that's where there are you would have fixed. If such a case, then in a hilly area, then you need to really have your nearest contacts, and rescue team should come and start the programs. So that's what it is. And accidents are subsets of incidents. That's where, you need to work around that. See, risk management again. I do 7 presentations. I must have used the word risk, I don't know, 700 times. So risk. You need to know the risk. That's where you need to know the hazard. If you don't know the hazard, you won't know the risk. So that's where what you don't know, you don't know. So work around risk-based approach. What can have the impact on, from environmental health and safety, security, business interruptions, and work the action plans. Right? Straight basics of risk 101. So when you transport material, these are all the aspects you need to look for. Ask these questions. This is a tickler list, and work around that. Can your fail proceed? Let's suppose driver doesn't inform, what happened? So that's what packaging is not right. So reputation, loss of customers. So customers don't tell you. Very rarely customer tells, I won't buy from you. So you need to really work around and preempt what can go wrong and work. That's where risk assessments can come handy, especially when you handle the hazardous substances. Right. So in terms of material, this, in terms of transport, this. So environment over which you have no control. So you may control your product, process, procedures, but sometimes like Indian roads. So you need to really work for this and include it as a part of your risk assessments and journey management and cargo management, and work around that. Right. C. So risk assessment goes beyond regulations. Everything. I keep saying, you can't just sit with the laws of the land. Laws of the lands will take you nowhere. So you need to really work with your industries, and your company policies, and with in terms of hazardous materials specific to the risk management activities. When you do a risk, so that will come, and that's where your involvement and investments increases. So just doing the laws of the land may cost only 30%. 70% of the other things come from your industry practices, company policies, like responsible care. It's not no factory act says responsible care, but you need to really work RC 14001, where it talks about security code and transportation, shipment, those kind of things, hazardous material management. So you go for responsible care, you got to do a lot, and so your investments will go three times more than what you comply with your factory act and pollution control board. So that's where the excellence comes in, and once you do it, you are into the groove, and you flow, and you have no surprises. That's the thing. You don't want surprises, embrace excellence. That's very clear. That's what great organizations do. So they mitigate the risk through embracing excellence. So that's what it's very essential. So that's what the heat map, very aspect, very high you need to mitigate, business need to stop, you bring it down to high or medium, and then work for improvements through infrastructural developments and those kind of things, especially for very high consequences. Risk hierarchy of controls, and make it happen. That's where. So when you're transportation, work around the known hazards, hilly areas. Like we have worked, some of the routes we Although it may take 70-80 kilometers more, we have worked it so that we wanted to avoid certain weak bridges and those kind of stuff. It's perfectly okay, so that your reputation is not lost. People are waiting, you do something, they will pound on you. So it's good to be, sometimes do that and reap the benefits. Train people, train. I mean, I can't insist enough on that. Spill cleanup kits and all. So that's what I had. I mean, I thought I will give you an overview. I mean, these are all the topics can be covered for hours and hours, but I want to give you a flavor of what we do, how the great organizations do it, and what are the challenges and how we turn. I know how great organizations always take every problem and challenge as an opportunity to learn and move the curve and be the benchmark. And that's where when you see 5 years down the line, you would be feeling marvelous. I mean, were we like that 5 years back, that we were doing the things the most stupid way? So that's where the learnings happen, and the excellence happens by embracing the best practices. So I just thought that I would share this with you. Please feel free to post your thoughts, comments, either in the YouTube video or on the blog. You can subscribe to my blog. I'll be happy to answer the questions, and if I don't know, I have thousands of people across 4 continents to answer me. So I really appreciate all your inputs. Thank you for your time, and have a great evening. And also have a great weekend. It's now coming to 6 o'clock Friday evening, and God bless.